What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Planes, Trains, and Comic Books channel. I'm Matt, and this is another one of my reviews. Today, we're going to be reviewing the Vinland Saga Volume 1 manga. But before we do that, real quick, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing if you like this content, and comment down below. Let me know if you guys have read this before, what you guys think. I really enjoyed this, so I want to know what everybody else thinks about this one. Yeah, let's get into it. Right away, this one, I picked it up because it's about Vikings. So I was like, okay, I'm dipping my toe into manga right now. Started with Berserk. You might have seen the other review, maybe link it right here. And with that one, it's about a strong man in medieval times who goes around killing demons and shit. Well, this one is actually historically based. It's literally about the Vikings, the Danish Vikings invading England. From what I understand, this is actually really historically accurate and has gotten like a lot of accolades for that. First things first, this is written by Makoto Yukimura. So they wrote and drew this book, and the art in this is really, really good. I will say it does get cartoony at times, but the action in it is fantastic. You can see lots of crazy fight scenes, lots of arrows, and all this all the stuff you want to see when people are fighting with swords and whatnot. But it starts off during I think it's in like 1013 AD, where these Danish Vikings are helping this guy named Thorkel the Tall invade England, and they're like taking over this area. They're coming up against like a settlement that's got like walls and parapets and everything. So they're having trouble. Thorkel's having trouble get to it, and he hires these Danish mercenaries, I guess you call them, to help him take over. So we follow like the main character in this. His name is Thorfin. He's a child. He's the guy on the cover right here. He is like a badass kid. He like chops off the main dude's head that's inside this fortress and brings it to the Danish leader and is like, here you go. And it turns out the Danish leader guy's name is Askalot, and Askalot and Thorfinn do not get along. Askalot killed Thorfinn's dad, and so Thorfinn is now like kind of his slave. Like he just took him and is like, you have to do what I say or I'll kill you kind of thing. But he liked the cut of his jib. So he like didn't murder this kid. He like kept him on because he sees his worth as like a soldier or something. And so he's been training this kid who was already kind of bloodlusty when he was younger. But this kid is really badass in these fights. I don't know if he was based on a real character or not, but he's pretty awesome. So it'd be cool if he is. But this is a really, really good comic. Like, once again, these mangas, they say they're like 400 pages thick or whatever. This is volumes 1 and 2 together in this hardcover. The hardcover is like 2 volumes of the paperbacks in one. But it starts off with this like battle and Askalad, sending Thorfinn to like take care of business inside this fortress. And then they end up winning and they get, a bunch of treasure. And then we find out that Thorfinn, basically he does this. He's like a good soldier because he gets to challenge Askalad to like duels, basically, to like defend his dad, who apparently Askalad murdered. So, if he follows Askalad's orders, he gets to challenge Askalad to a fight to the death, or at least a fight. And apparently he's always lost. So even though Thorfinn's badass, Askalad is even more badass. And Askalad is also like an adult warrior. So that's probably why he's beating this child, even though this child is pretty awesome fighter. So that's what like the first volume is. The first volume is all that, and then we kind of move into we go back to the past and we see where Thorfinn came from, where he's from Iceland, and like his whole family dynamic and his dad. So we get like Thorfinn as a little kid, who wasn't as bloodthirsty or anything. You know, he's just a normal little kid who's a Viking kid. So, you know, grows up fighting a little bit. It's pretty harsh in Iceland. So lots of ice, as you could probably figure out. At least in this book. I don't know, you know, what it actually looks like, but in this, it's like not the nicest place to live. Like there's um, different, I guess, Viking tribes around on Iceland, and they don't always see eye to eye on things. Thorfinn's dad is like a badass, apparently. Like he was part of this group of Vikings called the Joms Vikings, who are like the top warriors, we'll say. They're like the Spartans, I guess, or something of you know, the Vikings. And so they're badass warriors, and no one messes with Thorfinn's dad, even though he's gotten a lot softer, not softer, but he's just he has run away from that warrior past, and that's why he's in Iceland. He's trying to keep it on the low key. He doesn't want anybody to know that he was a Joms Viking. So um, then one day, this guy comes in. These Joms Vikings say, "Hey, we found you." His name's Thor. Thor's Snorenson is the name of his dad, so we'll call him Thor. So there's Thor, his dad. Thorfinn is the son, and then he's got like your brothers and sisters and a mom and everything. These Joms Vikings show up, and they're like, "Hey, we found you, Thors. You're not allowed to run away. You know, the sentence for that is death, but we've actually got a pardon from you from the Danish king, because you know we're trying to invade England and we need a lot of warriors. So if you just come back and join us like normal, we'll pardon you. No questions asked, but you have to come back with us and fight with us. Go back to your old ways, leave your family and everything here." So he's like, "All right, I guess I have to do that. I'm going with you." And he's going to take a couple of these boys from Iceland with him. You know, they think to be warriors, but he's actually just going to drop them off in Norway on his way there, and then so they can, like, you know, have fun in Norway but not get murdered, because they think they're warriors, but they've never seen battle or anything. They've never really trained. They're like 12, 13, 14-year-old kids. So there's not much that they can do, but they think they're badass. So they're not prepared for war. And so Thorfinn actually sneaks into this boat that's leaving with his dad and these other kids. And Thorfinn is way younger. He's like 4 or something like that. And he's, since finding out his dad was a Joms Viking, has gotten, I don't know, possessed by the idea of being a badass warrior. And so he's like taking it upon himself to start fighting all the kids in the village and stuff, and proving his worth as a badass. And like, as we see, his dad has a totally different view about war and its uses and how it should be used and all that kind of stuff. So he's more of a peaceful guy, unless, you know, he needs to be, unless his family's getting attacked or something like that. So on his way to this Danish king to get pardoned, it turns out the guy, he actually gets another guy named Askalot, who's the guy from the beginning of this book that Thorfinn is subordinate to when he's older. He gets Askalad to attack Thor's ship with the kids on it and everything, and they want him dead, basically. Now this is against the king's wishes, which is why they're hiring a mercenary like Askalad. But they're like, "Okay, you'll get it done." So we get to see how badass Thorfinn's dad is. He takes on like a bunch of these guys by himself and murders all of them. He's just a badass. So, and the only reason he doesn't end up living is because they threaten his son. And even though like Askalad is challenged to like a one-on-one duel, he doesn't honor that kind of thing at the end. So, you know, the dad lives by honor, and these traditions, but Askalad's like, I don't give a fuck about that. So he kind of betrays the dad's trust in these like honor specific traditions of like battling one-on-one and all that kind of stuff. And he gets murdered. So Thorfinn sees his dad murdered by Askalot, and that's when he is taken by Askalot um, as like a soldier, I guess. To he sees something in him because Thorfinn goes crazy, starts like trying to murder everybody, and he can't. So luckily, all the other kids don't die either, but they get away, I believe, or I think he might have tried to take them to get sold, but he lets them go because the dad was so like badass or whatever. He's like, all right, you guys can go. He earned your freedom for you because he was so awesome. But his son is staying with us. So now Thorfinn is with Askalad and he fucking hates him. And that's where this one ends. It kind of ends on that cliffhanger. It's really good. At first I wasn't sure, but like I said, the art in this is so good and it reads really fast. I love the history aspect of it. And I will say some of the art is more cartoony than other times. Like at the beginning, the guy that's named Thorkel the Tall is, I assume, like as a joke, he is like this tiny, tiny dude who's kind of fat and pudgy, while everybody else kind of looks normal. Let's see if I can find him. He is like sitting around. He kind of looks like a frog or something, like a toad, compared to everybody else. So he's sitting here stuffing his face all fat right there. But then everybody else looks kind of normal. So he's the only one that looks cartoony at the beginning of this. And then as it goes on, like sometimes Thorfinn's dad looks a little more cartoony and it's at times than I would think. But, that's just her style or their style. It kind of adds, I think that's just how more manga is. As I said, I'm not used to reading manga. They're a little bit more expressive and they'll change their way they look. Characters, models will look depending on how they feel or what emotion they're going through. So that's a little different than in American comics, but it definitely gets the point across that, they're trying to like get these emotions across. So you really feel it. So, I mean, when Thorfinn's dad gets killed, you're like, oh my God, like that was a fucking awesome guy. And, I can't believe he died already, but we already knew he was kind of dead because of the beginning of this book. So, but yeah, this book flew by. I bought volume 2 because this one was so good. I will say, even though these are nice hardcovers, I think they're only like $16 each on Amazon. So pretty awesome for the price point. They're $20 each on the cover. So that's about right. $16 on Amazon. It is newsprint inside. So these books feel really light compared to what you think because of how many pages they are. And they are like normal manga size. So, even though they're thick, they're still about the same size as a manga. So, but yeah, I mean, everything about this is great. Just like Berserk, it does read in reverse. So you start in the back and work your way forward. But that's just because it was written in Japanese originally. So, yeah, I really, really like this story. I like the history aspect of it. I like the Viking aspect of it. So that was very cool. And yeah, I really like the main character, Thorfinn. He's just a badass kid. So yeah, this is right up my alley as far as comics or manga or stories in general. So I'm gonna give this one a 4 out of 5. Really solid. It does say ages 16 plus. I mean, I would give this to a 13-year-old or whatever, but I guess it can be a little violent. So if you're sensitive to those things, it might not be for you. But I mean, it is basically a historical drama based on Vikings and stuff. So it's talking about real wars and whatnot. But I love the aesthetic of this book. It's very well done, and I really enjoyed it. So again, if you guys wouldn't mind sharing, subscribing. If you guys like these videos of me doing reviews, let me know. I got a bunch of stuff I can review or talk about at least. And so, that never ends. So if you guys like this, let me know. Comment down below. Have you read Vinland Saga? Have you read all of it? Tell me if it gets better. Don't spoil anything for me, but just tell me, is it awesome all the way through, or does it change up, or, do they get better throughout the series or whatnot? So, yeah, I would like to know. Let me know what you guys are reading, because I'm always looking for new stuff to read, especially mangas, since I haven't really dipped my toe into that too deep yet. So, yeah, and that's it for this time, and we'll see you on the next one.